Today I'm gonna be showing you guys the best innate build, the best technique build, basically the most damage you can milk out of your innate technique build for PvP based more than anything else. Not really meant to be for mob farming, but more just meant to be for PvP purposes and damage purposes. So the best innate technique build, in my opinion, starts off. Let's start off with the ring. Now people suggest I suggest the rotten ring. Right, round ring gives you strength, which is unnecessary, but it gives you technique, and you also have the effect, which is called rock curse. When you are guard broken, you gain 10% extra damage for 15 seconds. Now, I believe this is more efficient. You get 10% more damage overall for 15 seconds after being guard broken. If you're in PvP, this is the better alternative. However, if you are not really planning on PvPing that much and you just want like straight up damage on your thing, if you want like the most damage possible, then go for the tactful ring. Mainly because it gives more technique. As you can see, nearly 60 technique as opposed to 42.9. You get a lot more technique. Although this one does not have the effect of the rod curse effect. Next up, we're gonna talk about the accessory, the top accessory. What I suggest for that is Eyes of Willpower. Now, there's also Eyes of Insight, but Eyes of Insight are chanting based. Chanting a technique will give half its cooldown, but you will gain more focus. You gain less focus. Basically, just a shittier version of this effect, right? This gives you 1.25 times the focus. Also gives to your opponent, but that doesn't really matter as long as you have it. Very good thing. Very good thing. Perception blocking mask. People say that perception blocking mask is a better alternative to Eyes of Willpower. However, those people mainly focus on the health stat and they don't care about technique. What they really care about is just having more functionality in your build. This build is more oriented to just do a shit ton of damage as opposed to have a tankier build. This is all just damage oriented, so I suggest Eyes of Willpower in this case. Next up, you want to go for the blue sailor's vest as your armor outerwear. Now here's why. But yeah, 62.5% technique. You also get the effect, which is your status effects last 20% longer against mobs. When you apply guard break 2 or you black flash them, you apply the wet status effect for 2 seconds. There is another alternative. If you want, you can use the Cloak of Inferno. If you don't have the Sailor's Vest, you can use the Cloak of Inferno. This is more balanced overall, gives you more health, more strength, but it gives you less technique, 20 less technique, and there's also this effect, which doesn't really matter, but if you have Cloak of Inferno, use Cloak of Inferno. If you have Blue Sailor's Vest, use the Blue Sailor's Vest. I think this is better. If you want to farm for this, get this. I prefer this over the Cloak of Inferno, but that's just my opinion. And also, I think most people can agree with that. Next up, we're gonna go on to the shirt. Now, if you want most technique, I think the most simple, obvious answer is the Soul Robe. As you can see, 95.3 plus technique. Effect, Soul Resonance. Guard break and so on applies Transfiguration stacks, black flashing them. Like using black flash and those transfiguration stacks will make them explode and do damage. So I prefer this. I think this is the best you can rock as a shirt. We have a combo of Eyes of Willpower, 100 technique. We have 95.3, 62.5, and we have more technique over here. And the final thing is the pants. Now, some people suggest the Soul Stitch pants. However, what I recommend is Wise Man's Hakamas. More technique, most technique. If you're looking for like optimal damage, I highly suggest you get the Wise Man's Hakamas instead. As I said, if you are going for a fully oriented technique build, like I said I would in this video, you would take the tactful ring instead of the round ring if you're looking for technique. In this case, I will actually do that, so we're gonna put this on as opposed to the rotten ring to get the most technique. But yeah, this is just like the most optimal technique you can get. So this total build will give you 384.1 technique points, which is crazy. Now, will better stuff come in the future? Will you be able to squeeze more technique points out of that? Probably, but as I said, this is a build more oriented towards, damage for your techniques, for your innates, more than anything else. Your HP will be lacking and you will not have too much strength. So yeah, do keep those in mind, please, when you're doing this. Now we'll be moving on to the skill tree. So I made this myself. This is what I personally believe to be the best. Let's get into it. So we're gonna start off with your technique, which is obviously the most important stuff. We're gonna get technique awakened, technique increased all the way. That's what you wanna get. Chanting, you have no choice but to get that. You're gonna get your technique increase, and now this is very important. If you have a domain, get barrier mastery. If you don't have a domain, don't get barrier mastery because it's pointless and you can put those 60 points elsewhere. Next up, we're gonna go on to the focus, and basically we have 324 skill points left. I'm saying, by the way, this is if you're a max level build. If you're a max level, you can make this build. If not, you're gonna have to adjust accordingly, according to your skill points, see what you get, what you can't. So obviously, focus, get the focus awaken, get the focus increases, black flashes, vampiric black flashes, focus increased, and now sparks of black. People say this is useless. People say this isn't really, you know, your thing. Since you're not putting anything into strength because you don't need it, this is a fully technique build. If you're not putting anything into strength, you might as well go ahead and get it, right? It gives you boost, it gives you extra stats, multiple types of black flashes, easier to land, just makes it a lot better. Next up, you want to make sure to get these focus tokens. So what this does is effectively you can now do 5 black flashes. Each one of these tokens is 1 extra black flash, so comes in very handy. Black flash proficiency, of course, you're gonna want to put your points into some of that. By some of your points, I mean most of them, really. Vampiric Black Flash is also a lifesaver. Invest into that because you get up to 3% healing back from your Black Flashes, so that's pretty good. Okay, now you can get Lock-In if you want. What I suggest is definitely get it because that's a increase in your focus gain, which is huge, by the way. So I highly suggest getting Lock-In. And total concentration, you can get this. If you're going for this build specifically as I am, you have all the levels, you can get this. And now, basically, what this build is, you max out your focus tree. I know there's gonna be a lot of people in the comments say this isn't a build for black flashes, this isn't optimal. Look, if you're playing innate, if you're playing your innate techniques, mainly it's obvious that you're gonna be using your black flashes as well because that's just a part of the combo. It's a free combo extender, like it's free healing as well. So you have maxed out focus tree, you have, well, not maxed out technique tree, but everything you need. Now, as I said, if you have domains, you're gonna want to get barrier mastery instead of Sparks of Black. So instead of getting Sparks of Black, get Domain Master if you have a domain. If you don't, I suggest putting it on Sparks of Black. That said, strength, nothing. We're not gonna be putting anything into strength, really. Health, we will be putting some stuff into health on the side. As I said, this build is not reliant on health. It's not really the main thing. So yeah, get health awakened just so you can parry. You can get some health increases if you want, as you can see, like that. And there you have it. You're left with 1 stat point, a decent amount of health, surprisingly decent amount of health, as well as actually a lot of stuff on the side. Now, you can also, if you don't want to get Sparks of Black, or if you don't want to get Barrier, if you don't want to get both, you can get slow RCT instead. That works pretty fine as well, but that's gonna cost you a lot of damage in the end.
Mo!